together to fight I will mention the name, and kindly you will just either raise your hand so that we can appropriately identify you. Patricia I think Patricia is not the reason. I would need them to do this in the organizations just because the organization because some of them don't have the food on the list. Yes, good. Then I think the best and the easiest way that we will go is for them to make individual self-introductions so that they mention their names and the organizations that they are representing. Yeah. So we'll start from here.
My name is Professor Kwame Kakari. I am associated with the Media Foundation for West Africa.
My name is Akosia Gakwa. I'm the convener for the Network for Women's Rights, NetRight.
My name is Kujo Asante. I work for the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD-Ghana.
Nana Santwa Afajino. I'm the Executive Director of West Africa Civil Society Institute.
Raji Mohamed Awal Al-Hassan, the Executive Director of NOSAC. Thank you.
Please break down NOSAC for us.
outside for Mason Tamara. Thank you.
My name is Mary Awelanada. I work with the Ghana Integrity Initiative.
And my name is Benjamin Boache with the Africa Center for Energy Policy. Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's more.
Atubofu, Citizen Ghana Movement.
Good morning, my name is Samuel Bain, Parliamentary Network Africa. I'm Joe Sam, I work with 10 Plus Bytes.
Techua Menu, Citizen.
Steve Mantiel, I convene the Civil Society Platform on Oil and Gas.
My name is Nafi Chinwe and I work for the Natural Risk Governance Institute.
My name is Kwame Jantwa. I'm a member of the Citizen Society Platform on Oil and Gas.
Thank you very much to all of you. So, as I said, you realize that this is a representation of citizens, some in their individual capacity, some representing specific civil society organizations who are present here this morning to help in outdooring this broad coalition that we are about to hear of. Without wasting much time, we will proceed directly to the main business of the day, which we have called as the launch. Then we proceed to the specific issues of concern and the demands that this coalition is making. So without much ado, I want to welcome Nana Asantua Afajino. I will do the list of the organizations. So when you get out, let's go for her. I will do it afterwards.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carrie. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, invited organizations and citizens of Ghana. We've invited you to this press conference to speak to the good people of Ghana through you, the media, on our great concerns about the prevailing socio-economic and governance challenges facing the country and the formation of our coalition. Coalition for Democratic Accountability and Inclusive Governance, or the Citizens Coalition for short, and its objects and principles. We shall also highlight some immediate actions which must be taken to begin to address the grave concerns that we would list. The socio-economic and governance challenges we shall be highlighting today have reached critical dimensions. Ghanaians have, in recent months, been experiencing a very rapid deterioration of their living conditions, occasioned partly by the persistent depreciation of the cedi, leading to a severe weakening of the purchasing power of most working people, and the unprecedented steep rise in the cost of living as food prices continue to soar. Prices of petroleum products are on the rise, affecting cost of transportation among other things. Rent is equally high. These factors have invariably affected the cost of healthcare amongst Ghanaians as well as other basic necessities. Then there is, of course, the monster of mass youth unemployment. Sadly, measures taken by authorities so far do not seem to have the potency to mitigate these serious challenges. The popular refrain by our political leaders is that the prevailing socio-economic challenges are a global phenomenon occasioned by the combined effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. This rhetoric by our leaders is almost to suggest that until these two separate events have ceased, nothing can be done to mitigate the challenges we face. It is also an implicit suggestion that Ghanaians should simply live through the crisis with stoic silence. This posturing of government has created widespread discontent among citizens and the majority of Ghanaians have become desperate. Ladies and gentlemen, admittedly, our economic challenges have clearly been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war. But the problems go much deeper than these two factors. The underlying causes of these problems relate to the way in which over the last 3 decades, successive governments and bureaucracy have run the country and managed the economy without any coherent planning. Our challenges are exacerbated by the indiscipline with which projects are implemented, poorly thought through public investments, and the lack of any persistent and deliberate serious attempts at promoting local production capacity and industrialization. Our public expenditure is characterized by a needless waste of public resources without due regard to fiscal responsibility rules. It's therefore not surprising that we are yet again for the 17th time finding ourselves at the IMF, cap in hand. What is more frustrating, and to put it bluntly, annoyingly provocative, is the insensitive, in-your-face opulence V8 lifestyle of our elected or appointed public officials and bureaucratic elites, a lifestyle funded by the taxpayer. Abuse of power and impunity have become a way of life of the political class, irrespective of which party is in office. Political party patronage, plain grand thefts, and corruption in high places have characterized successive governments. Electoral promises to fight corruption in government continue to remain just that, promises. We continue to witness one corruption scandal after the other, with the recent ones becoming even more astonishing than the previous scandals. A recent example is the infamous criminal land grabbing scandal of the immediate past CEO of the Forestry Commission and former General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, the late Kojo Owusu-Efriye, known in political circles as Sir John. This way of life of the political and bureaucratic elites can be traced to various causes, including, but not limited to, the mere monopoly of executive power in appointments to the public service and parastatals, which continues to be a conduit for political patronage and cronyism. Meanwhile, the two main parties have captured the media landscape by allocating to their members and cronies radio and television frequencies that they use to hunt down and let loose their hordes of paid party communicators to silence patriots who dare raise their voices against the continuing rape and pillage of the nation. To compound the crisis of leadership, the ugly role of unregulated party campaign financing has made our democracy hostage to money bags who are not publicly declared and whose source of finance remain unknown and unseen. The danger with this mode of campaign financing is that criminal rackets may soon and easily become the major source of party financing, which will further compound our governance challenges. Fellow countrymen and women, we are greatly concerned that these developments, if not checked, would continue to pose an ever-increasing existential threat to our democracy. It would embolden misguided political actors and elements, and even sections of our population, particularly our youth, who see no relief in the existing state of affairs, to consider as appropriate, disruptive, and authoritarian alternatives to constitutional democracy. This is why a number of civil society organizations and individuals have come together to form this non-partisan coalition and movement, which would harness democratic processes of mass education and mobilization to stem the dangerous trend and assure democratic renewal, economic and social justice. This movement shall be known as the Coalition for Democratic Accountability and Inclusive Governance, or the Citizens Coalition for short. So what are the objects and criteria and principles of membership? We invite citizens and non-state organizations to join us in this quest to halt our democratic decline and secure inclusive governance and development. In that regard, Every organization or individual who wishes to be a member of the Coalition for Democratic Accountability and Inclusive Governance, the Citizens Coalition, shall subscribe to and act in accordance with the following objects and principles. There must be a commitment to putting the interest of Ghana first above all else, accountable and transparent governance, a living wage for working people, youth and employment, training and capacity building, an inclusive society and diversity, social and economic equity in allocation of national resources, strategic planning, and meaningful decentralization of power and resources, freedom of expression and dissent, including media freedom, respect for fundamental human rights generally, and ethical conduct, gender equality and equity in appointments and allocation of public resources and in public life, including economic participation, meritocracy in appointments of public officials, promoting local manufacturing and industrialization, democratic, transparent, and accountable political parties, key policy and constitutional reforms to make our democracy work and produce dividends for the people, active support for Ghanaian farmers and entrepreneurs, broad access to quality education and health for all, irrespective of social and economic circumstances, preserving and conserving environmental integrity and natural resources, and regional and continental integration. We actively oppose state capture by party or other private interests, public and private corruption, nepotism and patronage, abuse of power and impunity, ethnocentrism and misogyny, religious extremism, violence against citizens and groups by security agencies, coups d'etat, authoritarianism and government repression, electoral corruption, the use of violence and/or vigilantism to resolve disagreements of any kind and/or to win political office. Members of the coalition shall not openly support, endorse, or be surrogates for any political party or political party candidate. Our mission is thus to establish a culture of accountable and transparent governance that actively and consciously responds to the demands of citizens and promotes human rights, constitutionalism, and the national interests. Now I will move to our immediate demands and actions on accountable governance. Today, the 4th of July 2022, marks the beginning of our resolve as citizens to insist on a firm adherence to the tenets of transparency, accountability, and responsiveness from those to whom we have entrusted public power and national resources. In this regard, we note that some members of the coalition have been responding to recent issues and developments bordering on our collective socio-economic well-being as a nation and have made specific demands on government. We would like to use this opportunity to restate and update some of these demands and actions. A. Corruption and the needless waste of public resources. Corruption in the public sector remains an existential threat to the consolidation of our democracy. It has eaten dangerously into party politics, public procurement, and threatens to overwhelm the republic. Despite government interventions like the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the provision of some resources to some anti-corruption agencies, and the passage of the Right to Information Law, not much progress has been made in the fight against public corruption. Recent scandals, such as the contract for sale case involving the sacked CEO of the Public Procurement Authority (PPA), Mr. A.B. Adjei, and the leaked copies of the last will and testament of the immediate past Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Kojo Owusu-Efriye, point to significant weaknesses in the design and implementation of some of the anti-corruption measures. We hereby make the following demands of our government, including specific anti-corruption agencies. 1. The Citizens Coalition echoes the call on the Auditor General to exercise his powers under the Constitution to issue surcharges and disallowances against persons cited for various financial irregularities in the 2019 and 2020 Auditor General's reports. We note that in 2018, Mr. Daniel Gomlevo, then Auditor General, recovered over 66 million Ghana cedis back to government coffers through surcharges. Following his first exit from office in 2020, the Office of the Auditor General is yet to issue any surcharge, disallowances, on persons found to have misappropriated public funds. If the Auditor General persists in ignoring his clear constitutional mandate affirmed by the Supreme Court, our coalition will take the necessary action to ensure that he complies with the Constitution of Ghana. 2. The Citizens Coalition is worried by recent publications by the Fourth Estate in May and June 2022 showing the wanton disregard of the already weak asset declarations regulatory framework under Article 2861 of the Constitution and the Public Office Holder Declaration of Assets and Disqualification Act 1998 Act 550. According to information from the Auditor General published by the Fourth Estate, about 10,000 public office holders have failed to comply with the Asset Declaration Regulatory Framework to declare their assets and liabilities. The Citizens Coalition demands that the Auditor General directs all defaulting public officers to comply with the constitutional requirements immediately. We also note that under the Constitution, SHRAJ is also mandated to take appropriate action against defaulting public officials. Action against defaulting public officials, including but not limited to initiating legal action against defaulters to compel compliance or in lieu of compliance, have the courts impose sanctions on them pursuant to SHRAJ's mandate under the Constitution and the SHRAJ Act. It is our firm expectation that by the end of August 2022, all defaulting public officers would have fully complied with the assets declaration regime. 3. The current assets liabilities disclosure regime is porous and fails to meet the objectives for which it was put in place. It therefore must be addressed if we are to make any headway in terms of fighting public corruption. We demand to know the current status of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which has been in and out of Parliament for about a decade. Further, we demand that the Attorney General presents a credible version of the bill to Parliament for immediate scrutiny and passage. Government has rightly identified the legislation as important for regulating public ethics and addressing significant weaknesses in the assets disclosure and conflict of interest regimes. Members of the Citizens Coalition have been key advocates for the passage of this legislation and will continue to provide technical support to Parliament for its quick passage. 4. The Citizens Coalition welcomes the long overdue inauguration of the OSP board. Government has positioned the OSP as the vanguard of the fight against corruption, particularly corruption involving politically exposed persons. We urge government to provide adequate resources to the OSP to ensure its operational and functional independence. Anything short of that will betray this government's commitment to establishing a functional OSP. We also entreat the OSP to deal promptly with a number of legacy cases from the Martin Amidu tenure so that we can build and sustain confidence in the office and its work. B. The purported reclassification of the Achimota Forest Reserves and matters arising. It has been a little over a month since the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Abu Jinapor, announced the inauguration of a ministerial committee to investigate the Achimota land issues and related matters. There has not been any formal communication on the progress of the work of the committee. Also, following the announcement of the committee and all the information released, critical observations made by Imani Africa and Occupy Ghana lead us to the conclusion that the executive instruments EI 144 and EI 154 should be suspended and or revoked forthwith for the following reasons. 1. First, we question the legal propriety of the purported return of a portion of the forest land to the own family in light of decisions by the Supreme Court that lands compulsorily acquired by the state before coming into force of the 1992 Constitution need not be returned to its original owners, as the Constitution does not operate retrospectively, and doing so would create chaos and confusion in the land administration sector of the country. And you can refer to the case of Nikobi Tetechu versus Attorney General 2010 SCGLR 904. 2. The purported return of a section of the forest land to the previous owners, the unknown owning family, is unwise from a public policy perspective. It has the potential to trigger mass demands across the country by owners of lands compulsorily acquired by the state for the state to release lands to them. Given the patronage nature of our politics, our political leaders are more likely to kowtow to these requests for reasons of political expediency. Curiously, the lands minister, who is acting on the authority of the president, the constitutional trustee of public lands, in this purported return of lands, failed to provide any solid reasons as to why the trustee, the president, has taken this decision, which clearly is not in the interest of the beneficiaries of the trust, who are the citizens of Ghana. Number 3, it is doubtful whether the redevelopment of the forests, be it the much-touted ecotourism park or any other developments, will be compatible with its highly sensitive environmental status, where critically endangered species have found sanctuary. 4. Further, given the general mismanagement of public lands by successive governments, one wonders how well the Achimota forest lands would be managed once this purported reclassification of the forest is actualized. In many instances, public lands have been commercialized and or sold, often for cheap, to politicians and their cronies in a manner which smacks of complete disregard for the broader national interest. The revelations in the widely circulated leaked copies of the last will and testament of the immediate past CEO of the Forestry Commission and former General Secretary of the MPP, Sir John, leads credence to this informed suspicion. In view of these concerns, we join many other organizations and Parliament's call for a public inquiry into government's policy in returning lands to previous owners. We also respectfully urge President Akufo-Addo to immediately suspend the executive instruments EIs 144 and 145 and all ancillary plans to redevelop the only green belt in Accra. We also respectfully urge the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to abort all plans towards implementing the plans for the redevelopment of the forests. We also urge the leadership of the Lands Commission appears to have been disregarded as the Minister of Finance and the Minerals Income Investment Fund have initiated steps at the SPV on the London and Accra stock exchanges. Given the significant concerns raised by CSOs, the OSP, and other independent watchers about value for money, the duration of the agreements, and corruption risks, it is reckless for government to push the deal through and go ahead with implementation. We urge government to suspend all steps at implementing the deal for a more thorough public scrutiny of the agreements. Accounting for COVID-19 funds. The Citizens Coalition has closely followed the issues related to government's accounting of COVID-19 expenditure. It is imperative that the expenditures made in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, for which Ghanaians continue to pay levies, are properly accounted for. We welcome the Speaker of Parliament's ruling to task the Parliamentary Select Committees on Health and Finance to look into reconciling the figures. That work will deal with the disbursements made for COVID-19, but it does not deal with accounting for the actual expenditures, which needs to be addressed urgently by the Auditor General. Given the recent public allegation by the second Northern Regional Vice Chairperson of the MPP, Madame Felicia Tete, that some monies were disbursed to various structures of the governing party under the guise of COVID-19 related expenditure, we respectfully urge the Auditor General to conduct a forensic audit of the COVID-19 funds. We demand that the Auditor General acts with extremity on this matter in the interest of public accountability. Affirmative Action Bill. The Affirmative Action Bill has been in and out of Parliament for well over a decade. The President promised in his 2021 State of Nation address that the bill will be resubmitted to Parliament. Till date, it is still at Cabinet level, with no clear timelines as to when it will be resubmitted to Parliament for consideration and passage. For almost a year now, the Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry has been without a substantive minister. This has obviously impeded the work and commitment of the ministry to push not only the Affirmative Action Bill, but to address the increasing poverty levels amongst children and poor households. Is the government truly committed to bridging the gender and social inclusion gap? We wonder. The state of Ghanaian women is precarious indeed. Female unemployment rate, according to the recent census, is currently at over 15%, not accounting for all the unpaid work that many women are engaged in and the violence many continue to experience at home and work. This bill, the Affirmative Action Bill, is about promoting inclusion, fairness and justice for all in society, particularly women and girls. It is wrong and unacceptable that out of the over 6,000 assembly members across the country, only 460 are women. In essence, even though women form the majority of the population, when it comes to making decisions at the national and local levels of our governments, decisions which directly and indirectly affect their lives in the places that they live, they don't have a say. This is shameful and must change. We urge the President and his cabinet to act with dispatch on this bill and have Parliament consider and pass it as soon as possible. So in conclusion, after 30 years of practicing democracy in the Fourth Republic, we risk reversing the gains we have made as a country and placing the future of the youth in jeopardy. Most of the challenges we face in the governance arena and its impact on the health of our economy are occasioned by the sheer disregard for basic tenets of inclusive governance, transparency, and accountability. The breakdown in these systems has allowed for impunity to thrive, as there is little restraint on how persons clothed with executive authority exercise their discretion. The Citizens Coalition respectfully asks all citizens, home and abroad, to wake up to their responsibilities under the Constitution and insist that the right thing is done. Democracy is not for a lazy society. And we must demand that our elected and appointed officials, with whom we have entrusted our national resources, do right by this nation and exercise their power in pursuit of our collective welfare. Ghana is the only home we have, and we must ensure it is worth living. In the coming weeks, the coalition will share with the people of Ghana our thoughts and demands on other pertinent issues, including the critical challenges with the economy, including youth unemployment, education, health, internal security, and the potential threats of terrorism, among others. We shall also share with you a series of activities and engagements we have planned so that you can join us to create the society and the Ghana we desire and deserve. God bless Ghana. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for that very, very powerful statement, Nana Afajino, on behalf of the Citizens Coalition. So there you have it. As I told you, this coalition really means business. And to give you an idea of the organizations and groupings that have come together to form this coalition, I'm quickly going to take you through the list of organizations that are represented and have put in their effort to get us to today's launch. There are about 37 of them, but I'll read out the names of those that have signed up to this statement in particular. We have Ghana Integrity Initiative, the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD-Ghana, Media Foundation for West Africa, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ERSEP, Imani Africa, Africa Education Watch, Star Foundation, Ghana, Send Ghana, TUC, IDEC, Parliamentary Network Africa, One Ghana Movement, Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, Net Right Ghana, Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, Center for Local Governance Advocacy, West Africa Civil Society Institute, WAXI, Plans Plus Bytes, ISEDEC, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Bridge Fund, Citizen Movement Ghana, Fourth Estate, Third World Network, NOSAC, Community Development Alliance, CDA Ghana, Oxfam in Ghana, Abantu for Development, Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs Africa, and Odikro. We also, the list continues here. We have West Africa Center for Counter-Terrorism, Counter-Extremism. Yes. It was mentioned earlier, it was a repetition. Thank you. This morning, we also recognize the presence of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. We have representation from GPRTU, Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, Coalition of Stakeholders on Energy Concession Arrangements, Whistleblowers and Journalist Safety International Center, all represented here. Besides these organizations, as I mentioned earlier, we have citizen activists who have played very lead roles in getting us here today. We have Shamima Muslim, fully represented in the front row. We have Akoto Ampao, Martin Pebu, Samson Ladi Ayenini, Clara Kasati, Professor Kwame Kakari, Professor Techua Meno, Kinsley Ofei, Kofi Abochi, Professor Kofi Abochi, Professor Godfrey Bopping. All of them have played various roles in getting us to the launch of the Citizens Coalition. Please, if there is anyone here whom I have skipped or have to recognize, kindly draw my attention and you will be recognized accordingly. So, as I indicated, once the statement has been read, we are going to open the floor for you to ask us any questions that you may have, if you want any clarification, so that our able representatives here will help clarify any misunderstanding that you may have. How many do we take us? All right, I see your hand. Yeah. Maybe someone should come and have a hand.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Fred. Two quick questions. The first one has to do with, I have heard nothing about the president's travel, the luxurious travels. Is it that the coalition is, comfortable with it? Then the second one has to do with the fact that you, mentioned the issues facing the gender ministry, but you never demanded that the one in charge be sacked. Are you comfortable with that? Thank you.
Please, which media house are you coming from and your name?
My name is Fred Duho, CTFM CCTV.
Okay, thank you. Yes, there's another hand.
Hello. Yes, thank you very much. My name is Mensa Thompson, and I'm with ASEPA. I want to thank the CSO fraternity for coming up strongly this time round. Even though some of us believe that it's a bit too late in the day, we saw the signs very strongly right from 2017, 2018. We saw that the path that the government was on was definitely going to land us in this trench that we are in. Some of us pointed out strongly and were tagged. We received a lot of insinuations and attacks here and there. Today, a number of the civil society organizations have seen the things that we saw right from the beginning. And we are happy that they are coming out much more stronger. And we hope that this advocacy will be a bit more stronger, because so much has been destroyed. And I think that as members of civil society and even the media, the first thing we should have done to the people of this country, at least we should have used this opportunity to apologize to the people of Ghana. We've let the people down very, very strongly, because we had a responsibility to keep the government in check and not allowing them to go the path they went. We gave this government so much mileage right from the beginning. They went all around, we let them, and now they are deep-rooted in the corruption. They've gotten comfortable in the mess. And today, civil society organizations, we are here when all is destroyed. But they say it's better late than never. I am happy, particularly happy about this, and I hope that this is not going to be a nine-day wonder. I hope that the activism in us will be erected or activated by the kind of mess and desperations Ghanaians find themselves in. So once again, I want to congratulate the leadership of the coalition.
Thank you. I think, yep. I consider that as a comment, and we thank you. Yeah. Sorry, there was a hand there. Please give the mic to her.
My name is Jessica Melody. I work with GH1 TV. I want to find out how different this coalition will be from the others. I mean, we see it come up and we don't know. I also want to find out, you've mentioned a number of issues. What will happen if government does not do that? I mean, you mentioned declaring of assets by August 2022. If government does not do that, what is next? How will we see the coalition come up strongly? Thank you. Good.
Thank you for that. Yes, I will take 2 more questions so that we do a round of 4 questions each. Yes, please, gentlemen. There. Yeah. All right. Then after us.
My name is Kopna Atabidu. I'm a citizen activist and a procurement specialist and advocate.
Yeah.
Now, there's currently on the board of the PPA and 9 people. According to Act 663, the chairman is supposed to be experienced and competent in public procurement, which means he should have gone to school, been examined and certified, and he should have practiced in public procurement. We all know the current chairman. He holds a PhD in zoology. He's never been a procurement specialist before, and he's never worked in any capacity in the public service in that space. There are 3 private sector practitioners who should be experienced and competent in procurement, not necessarily public procurement, who are also serving on the board. So as it stands now, the only person on that board who is competent and experienced in procurement is the chief executive, 1 out of 9. What will be the quality of decision making and approvals that that board would give? And I have a concern. I would be happy if the coalition will pick this up and ensure that the board is changed to make it more competent, because all our issues are going through procurement. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. Our members here will help in providing some answers. One last for this round, then we will take some responses.
Thank you very much. My name is Ketchup Satengle from Pax Africa. From the submission, also, I noticed that no reference was made to the Constitution, because it has been one of the key issues that we've been looking at. And one of the gaps we've noticed with the Constitution is that it seems to be overly political, and many other aspects of socioeconomic development are not well positioned, which is something that we really support a review of whichever form it takes. Related to that strongly, which I want to emphasize, is that of opportunities for institutional development. Our institutions keep getting weak because of the current framework that we have. We need to look at that, and it's something that I would really wish that the coalition takes on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. And let's get some responses from the members at the table here.
Okay, thank you. So I'll take the question on the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And I think it's fair to say that we do need a substantive minister at the helm of affairs to ensure that all the various issues affecting Ghanaian women and children are addressed.
You mentioned your name. They are talking about their mics are here. All the television stations have them. And please, when you are also providing the responses, kindly mention your name, because some of them were not here when you were doing the introduction, so that they can identify who is speaking. Thank you.
Okay, so I will take the question on the substantive minister at the helm of affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And the point I was making is that, yes, indeed, we do need one who is in place and working actively, because Ghanaian women and children have a whole host of issues that need addressing. And without a substantive minister in place, it doesn't get done. Thank you.
Professor Kakari will take one of the questions as well.
Thank you. I want to comment on the first issue concerning the president's travels, and also the other question on how different will this coalition be from the others. Well, concerning the president's travels, as well as references to other issues that are not mentioned here, such as constitutional reform and a number of other things that I'm sure many people here may have wished are here. This is what I want to say. This is the launch of the coalition. We certainly cannot or could not be here today on this first day to address all of the evils that this country, faces. We certainly cannot do that. This is the beginning of the coalition. First of all, it's made up of a number of organizations, individuals, and we expect more individuals and more organizations to join. But at the same time, we recognize that a number of organizations and a number of individuals in the country are in their own way addressing some of these issues. What I would like to say, though, is a comment somebody made, a reference to the media. I think that our media have become too lame for this country's democracy, and we should encourage them to be stronger. Take, for instance, investigative journalism today. There's only one agency that is doing any worthwhile investigation, and that is the Fourth Estate. What are all the private media doing? What are all the state-owned media doing in following on some of these issues that border on the health of our democracy and so on? So I will plead that people join the coalition, and that the coalition, as we have promised, this is not going to be a 9-day wonder. We can assure you, you can look at the people here. Some of us have been in this business since we were in school. And we are great, and we will continue to do this into our graves. For as long as we can breathe and we can stand on our feet, we'll continue to do that. So let us assure you, by putting pressure also on us, by joining and raising issues, are the only things that will ensure that this coalition does not become one of those. In the principles we have laid out here, for instance, any member who becomes active in any political party or is seen to be associated with any candidate will be sacked from the coalition. It's very clear here. So we can assure you, but I'm saying that to assure you, you must also join the coalition. It's open, and be active. That is the only way we can. No democracy is built on silence of the citizens. No democracy is built on, as we have pointed out here, a lazy populace. We have to be active. The Constitution as it is now and the environment as it is now allows us to free expression. If we don't exercise it, it will close. And let me say that the issues concerning procurement and so on, I'll leave it to people, more competent people here to answer on some of these legal and technical issues. But let me assure you that whether it is the president's travels, whether it is on constitutional reform and so on, each and every one of these will be picked up at appropriate times as we deem fit. But join the coalition and raise these same issues so that we can collectively address them. That is what I will say for now.
Thank you very much, Prof. And yes, Nana Afajino will take another question.
Thank you very much. We actually did talk about constitutional reform. It's one of the key areas that we'll be focusing on. And what you are concerned about, meritocracy, giving the public procurement example, it is an issue of meritocracy, not being one of the things that we are concerned about. And it's connected to the wide executive powers that our president has. And we need constitutional reform to change that. So those are some of the things that we will be pushing. And so join the coalition and help us to push it. Not lamenting on this. We have to get the Ghana we want. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana Afajino, for that. Koyo? Yes.
I knew the question was going to come. What will happen if government doesn't respond? Well, let's all watch and see. I think that's what we have to say. Because government is in place to ensure that it acts on our behalf. Some of the things we are saying, they should have been done. I mean, this procurement, it's in the statute. How can you ignore the statute and decide that you want to do whatever you want to do? So the necessary actions, if we have to be there picketing and make sure that the Professor of Zoology doesn't continue to be a chairman of the procurement. And it's for, why did we even make that rule? Isn't it for a reason?
I actually wrote to them last year.
Well, so the good thing is that this is what we are talking about, this platform that will help us to build this culture of accountability. If a public officer at any point in time, given the constitution, given the statute, decide that, I see it, but I think differently and going to act differently, and there are no consequences, then that becomes a problem. That is the culture that we have to change. So we have a lot of power as citizens. Let us make time for it. If we come and call you that we need to take a walk to the Auditor General's office, please sacrifice a little time so that we can go there and remind him of his constitutional mandate. So that is what we are calling for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kojo. So I guess you heard that. It's not going to be business as usual. The civil society, maybe for the first time you are hearing that they are willing to go beyond just reminding governments of its responsibilities. They are now willing to take the further step of calling upon these various public office holders to live up to their responsibility, including picketing and all kinds of agitation. When I was mentioning the list, when I was going through the list, you might have heard the names of some of the individuals who are waking up. We are putting together a very solid legal team. If it requires that we take strategic litigation against individuals and state institutions, we are willing to do so. So this time is not going to be business as usual, we can promise. We'll take the next rounds of questions. Okay. Please, go ahead. Yep. We'll come to you.
Thank you for the opportunity given. My name is Kojoba from Angel TV, Angel FM. My question is, I have two straight questions. Yes. The first one is, since you demand for accountability from government, is this a coalition who want you to disclose your source of funding? And two, the next question is this platform going to be canvas for advocacy for LGBTQ? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. You will get the responses soon. Please give it to the lady in print. Yep.
Thank you. My name is Bintu. I work for Class Media.
Okay.
I want to start from Kojo's point where he says that if the coalition comes to seek that citizens follow them and maybe press charges against somebody who's being corrupt or something, I want to ask, there are pressing issues. Recently, the Arise Ghana youth wanted to demonstrate, and we all saw what happened. The police brutality recently, anywhere citizens are demonstrating, how they handle them. I don't know what the coalition is going to do about that. I didn't hear them made mention of it. It's a pressing issue, even though Prof has said that they have numerous issues. And I also want to ask you, how well is the coalition going to help the media that they are asking them to join the coalition in their fight against those issues that are mentioned? Because in this country, we know the politicians own the media houses, and the country has been divided. Either you work for a party A or a party B journalist. So the same issue, you get different dimensions, different discussions. So if it doesn't look like the media doesn't want to talk, but we know what happens. When you talk, they come and beat you, they insult you, they arrest you, they harass you, and nobody will talk for you. Yeah. So we want to find out how the coalition will help the media, who also want to advocate for some of these things. They know, but the platform to say it becomes a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that very important question, Bintu, and for the frankness in terms of what you media practitioners are also going through. Please, I'll come to you. Let me take the question from the gentleman at the back. Just a minute. Kindly give the mic to the gentleman in the spectacles.
Thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel K. Dugbevi. I work for Ghana Business News. I think largely Ghanaians are unfair to journalists, most of who take real great risks doing the work they have to do, and often without being paid. I run my own news organization. Nobody gives me funding, and I've done it for 14 years. So when I hear people say the media has failed, I don't know who they are referring to. There is no funding for journalism in this country. It's extremely limited and thinly spread. So if a journalist wants to investigate a story, he requires money for transport, he requires money to make phone calls, and mostly the news goes out for free. Nobody pays for news in Ghana. I assume that Daily Graphic doesn't even sell as much as they used to do anymore. The news is literally free. So who pays for the cost of producing good quality journalism? Secondly, I think there is public lack of confidence in CSOs like your type because of what happened with the Occupy Flagstaff House group. More than half of them ended up in the government. Some are now very quiet, even though much of what is happening today was happening when they went to Occupy Flagstaff House. How do you intend to boost up public confidence in what you intend to do? Because now everybody thinks that, oh, they've got some funding and they are sharing it, and very soon if there is change of government, they will keep quiet. How do you intend to do that? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. I think the funding question has come up again. It will be answered appropriately. That was the third question, right? So we take the fourth one from you. He's by the pillar. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Mauli Dake, a citizen, and I have two quick comments. The first has to do with the mechanisms that we have in place to support people who are going to get into trouble for doing this work. One of the reasons most people, including journalists, will give you for not speaking out would be that they are afraid of victimization and abuse of power that we see. And if we want to move beyond, even the coalition, if the coalition moves beyond the press conference to pursue any of these issues that we are talking about seriously, people are going to be targeted. Individual citizens who take any of these issues seriously and try to pursue it are going to be targeted. What is the coalition's mechanism in place to support such individuals? My second comment has to do with our responsibility. I always say that sometimes we make it very easy for the powers that be to take us for granted as citizens. And I'm sure any presidential advisor will just tell the president, oh wait, they're going to talk for a few days, and if nothing happens, it will die down. That it's been true of us for so many years now. So we have a responsibility to make sure that we are taken seriously. And that starts with self-accountability, how we hold each other accountable. So I think that is one of the things we have to take seriously, how we have to push each other and hold each other accountable. So our leaders here, if we push you and call you out, see it as part of the movement building. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your questions. Let's come back to the table for some responses. Please, you have to come here because of the mics of the TV stations. So.
I just wanted to deal with the LGBT matter quickly so that we can move on. I am part of the Human Rights Coalition engaging on the LGBT matter. My brother here, Senanu, is a proponent of the LGBT, and we engage. We've been to Parliament several times, but the thing we hate is corruption as well. We are all in this coalition, right? This is a coalition where we have a commitment to certain principles. When we agree on an issue, we'll take it forward. It does not stop us as individual organizations from pursuing objectives that we care about. So we shouldn't, we have so many things in common. We should not be thinking about the things that divide us all the time so that we can't even act together. And this is what the political class have been doing for so long, that we always feel completely disempowered. So I think we have to have a different orientation about, there's so many things that we can do together to just ensure that the welfare of the citizens are taken care of. So my brother, that is not the problem at all. This coalition, as we've said, our objectives are broad and it's long term. We want a Ghana that works and works for everybody. A democracy that works and works for everybody. It's as simple as that. It's the same for journalists, everybody here. So let's work together. We can even agree. We can disagree among ourselves, but we can agree to disagree. There's nothing wrong with us agreeing on the things that we want to agree on and work together. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kojo.
Thank you very much, Kojo. Let me just add that the reason why this coalition is different is because it is not only board-based, but the majority of members are existing organizations. So beyond the individuals who may come and go, there are civil society organizations, 34 of them, who are doing all kinds of work. So we must be assured that this is there for longevity. Beyond the individual faces you see today, the civil society organizations that are already doing existing work to strengthen our democratic experience will continue to do this work. So that's one assurance. I mean, with the media and the safety of the media, I think that we are in concert, as Marley said. And the reason why we believe that coming together works is because there's strength in numbers. And when we are together and we are so diverse in interests, but we are committed to the Ghana agenda and we share shared values and politics, we will be protected somehow. And that's why we want the media to actually be part. Because you also share the value of accountability and you share the value of transparency, and every day you're asking those questions. So it is important that the media, individual media members join this coalition, because this coalition is going to generate knowledge that will help you ask better questions and frame the narrative so that those who are wielding power would do right by the citizens of Ghana. We all want to live very dignified life, that even if I don't have money in my pocket, I don't, drive through a bumpy road that gives me more headache by the time I get home, and there's no light and there's no water. You see, so the infrastructure debate has to be had. And governments must deliver on the social contract. We are not asking them to do anything special. We are asking them to do what they have promised and what the Constitution mandates them to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Shamima, for that.
Good morning. I hope you can see me. Some of us are vertically challenged, and then you get these microphones which are blocking us. So we've been asked a number of questions, and I want to address some. When you talk of a coalition, you're talking about a loose grouping of people and organizations, and they believe in different things, but they've come together for some specific purposes. And I think that we've set out what it is that we are interested in. We don't, as Kojo has said, we don't need to agree on everything, but on some things we agree. And as you have seen, some of us are part of the big 18, and we are not afraid to say so. That is not the agenda we are pursuing today. To the extent that it is part of an inclusive society, fine. But that is not what we are talking about today. So please, we don't want those tags, the big 18 regroup, etc. We've set it out. Admittedly, we've just distributed the statement. You have all not had time to read it. And we ask you to read it carefully. So the young lady here who was talking about police brutality, it is there in the statement that we oppose violence against citizens and groups by security agencies. And we may add, not just security agencies, vigilante groups of all kinds. It is there in the statement. So please take time to read what is in there. In terms of the source of funding, I'm happy that you raised it. In fact, at some point, we'll be asking for support. So I'm hoping that you will all contribute. The government of Ghana went to IMF for support. Why can't we go anywhere we want also for support? So let's be careful. Let's be careful. Let's not tag. Nobody has given us any money. I'm about to write my own check for this coalition. Okay? And I expect that when we start the crowdfunding, whether it's 20 CDs or 40 CDs or 50 CDs, those legal briefs that you are expecting us to file to compel the Public Procurement Board to comply with the Act, it will take some money. Even if some lawyers decide to do it pro bono, there are filing fees and all of those things, you know. I know Mr. Kofi Bentel is here. He's very well inclined, but still, he doesn't put water in his car. And you know what the price of fuel is. So we must be prepared to put our money. And the fact that we take money from somewhere doesn't mean that they are going to dictate our agenda. And we should be careful. The media is also part of civil society. So you can't defend the media in one breath and attack civil society in another breath. We are all in this together. Yes, there are media like you, but there are also media that are not behaving properly. We should not be afraid to say that. So when we comment on the media, and it came from somebody who has dedicated his life to media freedom in this country. So clearly the kind of criticism that is making of the media should not be taken lightly. It's serious. We do have a problem with the media. And I want to come to the major problem. You know, it's a supply and demand issue. Everything in this country is supply driven. Where is the demand for democracy? This is what we are trying to generate with this coalition. The demand for democracy. Nobody who has been enjoying executive power is going to wake up one day and say, take it. You are the ones who gave that power. We are asking us to take back that power and to insist that it should be exercised lawfully and in accordance with the Constitution. So that supply and demand, if you read economics, the balance, where is the balance here? Government should do this, government should do this. If you leave government, they won't do anything. So we are the citizens. We've been asked to be citizens and not spectators. So now we say that enough of the watching. Let us begin to act. Okay? So those are the kind of things that I wanted to say. That, and then the issue. We've said here that this is a non-partisan group. We are not here to laud one political party over another. We talked about the two main political parties. They are their problem in this country. It is not to say that because today we are saying this, some people started in 20 whatever. It's the same. It's just the flavor. Do you want cocoa or do you want coffee? You know, it is still the drink. Okay? So we are talking about these kinds of abuses. We are not a front for any political party. We are bold. We will say it as it is. And if you read the statement, we don't start it from 2017. These are issues that we've had since the coming into force of this Constitution and the failure to apply the principles in this Constitution. So we are not here fronting for anybody so that the next time, it may be true that 50 or 40 or 30% of Occupy Ghana members found themselves in government. That may be true, but it doesn't mean that we are going to be the same. Okay? So let's give ourselves a chance. let's watch, but not just watch. As I said, you will all have to contribute. The lady here, maybe we are going to forego some new shirts and bags and Brazilian wigs and all kinds of things. We are all going to contribute to this cause to make sure that it works. As for the public confidence, if you watch properly, I think that a lot of the people who are in this coalition, they already enjoy a level of confidence from the public. But we still need to work to ensure. Why are we reaching out to GPRTU, to TUC, to market women and all of those groups, the young people, etc.? It means that we feel the issues that they are feeling. We know that there is a real democratic deficit and we need to bridge it. So please read the statement carefully before you go and splash your headlines and everything. And you will see that even if we have not itemized everything, it is there. We talk about the constitutional issues. In fact, we base ourselves on that, the gap between the ideals and aspirations in our constitution and what we have done so far. And there will be actions. We will call for your support physically and financially. So be prepared to put. So where's the angel man? He has gone. I didn't collect his donation from him. You know, we are going to need all your donations. We are going to spread the word, because some of the issues we are talking about, whether it's industrialization or entrepreneurship, local food production, this is the core of our economy. So well-meaning private sector people, we expect all of them to come on our side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that. For those of you who don't know who she is, you don't know who she is? Professor Techua Menu. Yes, that's Professor Techua Menu. Thank you very much for that. And in terms of the funding, as you said, we have individual donations that have supported us to this point. Member organizations here are the ones who are putting forward their money to make this a success. In fact, as I speak this morning, just this morning here, someone has brought an envelope. It's in my bag. I'm not even open to check. Yes, I'll bring it. An envelope has been brought with donations. So we welcome such donations from all of you. It is a collective responsibility. We cannot always look beyond our borders for someone to come and sponsor some of these citizen activism. It will require us to also self-mobilize and to push the agenda locally. Thank you. Mr. Mohammed Awal is also coming forward to answer one of the questions for us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karim. I turn on the mechanism that we are putting in place to protect people. First of all, I want to say that we are a law-abiding group, and will encourage people to operate within the confines of our laws. But let me just say that we have a diverse group here, experienced people and legal team. So where there's going to be some attack on our members unduly, our people are going to come on board and they'll make sure that the proper things are done. So have confidence in this group. We are going to move together and we will not leave anybody behind. So please, you're welcome. You are in safe space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And please don't forget, our handle on all social media platforms is We Be Citizens. So whether on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, we are fully represented there. We Be Citizens. That is the handle. Please, have we covered all the questions so far? I think so. So let's go for the next round of questions. Kindly give the mic to him.
Thank you very much.
I'll come back to you.
My name is Joseph Wemako, and I work with the Human Rights Reporters Ghana. The Human Rights Reporters Ghana is an initiative of young Ghanaians, journalists, lawyers, and human rights activists who have come together to address issues of human rights abuses. So in the first place, we welcome this particular coalition. Your agenda is upright. But with your name, Coalition for Democratic Accountability and Inclusive Governance, during your presentation, I have realized you've mentioned some human rights components, but to me, it is not detailed. So we want to know, there are a lot of human rights issues abuses that are on ascendancy, and there is the need for us to make a move to ensure that we address these issues. So I would like to find out from you, much as we would like to also be part of this and we welcome you on board, what practical steps are you taking to ensure that issues of human rights abuses are addressed holistically? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. We'll try and give you a response. Please, I'll come to you. This gentleman, yep. Kindly give the mic to the gentleman in the suit.
Good morning. I'm Prosper Kweku Selassie. I report for SwahiliNews.com and Daily Analyst newspaper. Now, the last election, filing fees went up to 100,000 Ghana cedis for presidential elections. And then for the parliamentary election, it went, I think, somewhere 10,000 or so. Now, after that election, we have seen so much abuses of public office. What is this coalition going to do to ensure, or either to impress upon EC, not to either raise or to bring down yes, of course, the filing fee for the next election? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. That's a very important question. Political party financing or election financing. We will respond to that. Please go ahead and give the mic to him.
Thank you very much. Mine is a comment, not a question. And my name is Michael Bwedi. I work with Ghana Integrity Initiative. I think that the question keeps coming up as to what we are doing to protect people, issue about right abuses. These questions buttress a study in I think the Afrobarometer 2019, around where it says that citizens are not contributing to the fight against corruption simply because they are afraid of victimization. The reality is that it is because we have fought corruption and other ills of society individually. And therefore, it's easy to be targeted and dealt with. So if you go on social media, my brother Samson is here. His spray comment, he's attacked every day because people perceive, they single him out and deal with him. Yeah. The reason why this coalition at this time is critical is that it is very difficult to attack individuals if you join. So that if they would attack, then they would have to attack the whole membership of the coalition. And if we all join, we become a stronger force than the individuals that attack us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So we need that solidarity for our collective security and safety. Yes, kindly give it to the lady by the camera.
My name is Dolita. I'm from Metro TV. Okay, so my question is, your name is Citizens Coalition, and then you say that you are an inclusive group. So how are you going to include the people in the rural areas? How are you going to make yourself visible to all these people to make sure that they are
part of this course, yes, right?
Thank you.
A fantastic question. I love the question. Very, very important, and we'll provide an answer to that. Thank you very much for that. Was that the fourth question? I guess that was the fourth. Yes. Prof. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. While Prof comes up, let me announce that we also recognize the presence of Foundation for Security and Development in Africa, FOSDA, and National Network of Youth Groups. They are all present here this morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Let me start with the very last question by the lady there about, whether or not the coalition will extend its activities to the rural areas. To begin with, we consider this to be a national coalition, a coalition that addresses any and every issue that touches on any Ghanaian anywhere in the country. In terms of structure, of the coalition as an organization. We have just started. We have just inaugurated it. There are many issues that plainly we haven't sorted out yet that we will sort out. For instance, will we have branches? If we have branches, we will have this and that. If you notice here today, we have not introduced, this is a chairman, this is a general secretary, this is all of those things concerning structures of a coalition and so on. Again, it is a coalition of organizations and individuals. So some of these things will need to be thought through more practically and concretely as we go along. We've started here. We want to give ourselves time to consolidate here. Now, since we started, many people are asking questions about accountability, credibility, and whether or not you will be sustainable, whether it's not going to be a 9-day wonder. These are very, very important questions, and we must give ourselves time to grow and to evolve and to be a more effective organization. So what I will say to your question immediately is that if you read this statement, all of the issues that we have highlighted today affect everybody in this country, whether they live in the city or in the rural areas. Constitutional matters, issues of corruption, issues of social justice questions. They all affect everybody everywhere. So in terms of program, in terms of activity, we will deal with any issue, every issue that touches any sector of this country's life. So that is what we will say for now. But structurally, we will allow ourselves time to develop into the way that we operate. Now, the question about human rights issues that was raised, let me repeat what I said earlier, that if you read the statement, yes, human rights issues underline many of the questions that we are concerned about. Again, this coalition is made up of many organizations. Your organization, if you are not already in the coalition, join the coalition, because each and every member of the coalition have their own mandate that they are working on. Some are working on gender issues, women's rights issues. Others are already working on corruption issues. Others are dealing with many aspects of issues concerning society. So these organizations will not stop doing the work they are doing. So collectively, we will pick up issues that are of a national scale, small or big, but which we think, if your organization is a member and you are doing something, or even if you are not a member, but we think that the matter you are dealing with, if of such import, the coalition may join you in solidarity or pick up the issue. So to begin with, we want you to join it. Presidential filing fees and the Electoral Commission, party financing. We've mentioned also the implications of party financing, the lack of accountability of political party, internal democracy and financing and other things. So when necessary, if we find it necessary, we will petition the Electoral Commission, on matters concerning elections and the accountability associated with it, the fairness, the justice, and so on concerning elections. Again, let me say that there is nothing that will happen to any citizen or institutions that violate the constitution of this country that we will not respond to. The responses and activities we are going to be engaged in are many. Press conferences, press releases, petitions, going to court, marching, demonstrating, making petitions to Parliament, to the executive. Talking about police brutality, for instance, we will engage the IGP and the police authorities on all matters bordering on the security of citizens as well as security, and how they handle people who are genuinely fighting for freedoms or social justice in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that. Okay, Mr. Bemboachi is also coming to provide a response to one of the questions. I'd like you to know that we are live on Facebook. We are streaming live on Facebook, and also there are people who are joining us via Zoom. There are people who are also joining us via Zoom. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Karim. I see a broader concern about how we achieve results, right? What I'm doing as part of this coalition is to bring my issue to a group for action. And this is because on our own, we have been fighting a lot of things without success. We have been writing, we have been petitioning, and we are not getting results. So we see that we need to re-strategize, we need to regroup, and see what collective action can actually deliver to the people of Ghana. What has brought us here today as a country where we have to go to the IMF? Those things have been spoken and written about by civil society that demanded action, but government failed to act. So how do we change course so that we are not waiting for government to fail before we blame individuals and people in government? We want to be part of the process, and that is why we are acting together to demand accountability. Some of the issues we have written about, and you saw Ejapa in the conversation. Your government is saying that the revenue that should come into the pot for the roads to be built, for the hospital to be built, they have given it to a group of friends to manage it for you instead of building the road. There is no country that invests the total revenue that they get from any sector. And this is a big conversation for all of us. 1.3 billion Ghana cedis was given to MIF, a group of people to go and do investment. Your road is not being built. It's a big conversation that we need to have. If they go and lose that money, they will come and tell you they tried. Your road will not have been built. So when people are fighting these issues and we are not getting traction, we need citizens to appreciate it and come together for that, collective decision to be taken. There are issues that individually we have even written to the president, to ministers. They won't respond to you. They won't respond. They won't even acknowledge receipt of your letter or your concern. So we need to push these things collectively to ensure that we reposition our country for a just cause and to deliver the public service that we have given them authority to deliver. And that is why we are doing this. So we are encouraging everybody to also bring your issue so that collectively we can analyze the issue and fight it for Ghana to progress. We cannot continue to blame people for our woes when we have capacity and the people to do the right things that will develop our country. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bemboachi, for that. And that is very, very important. I mean, for those who have been at the forefront of doing this kind of advocacy, they will tell you this fight can sometimes be very, very lonely. It can get very, very lonely. You become a lone voice and it becomes easy, very, very much easier for them to attack you. But there is strength in what? In numbers. And I tell you what, that is what the politicians are afraid of. When they see numbers, what comes to mind? Votes. When they see human beings, all they think of is what? Is votes. So there is strength in our numbers, and if we use it to our advantage, we can whip them in line. Yes, for that. We have put up the link for registration for individuals and organizations who are interested in signing up to become members of the coalition. If you check it on Facebook from our handle, We'll Be Citizens, you will see the link. We are also very much aware that we are approaching midday. Most of the media houses here will be doing the midday news. So we are going to wrap up at this stage. And if you have any questions, please let us know. The members here have expertise that cut across
all facets of our national life, economic, legal, whatever. And we will definitely have a resource person or persons who will be available to respond to your questions, be it in English or any of the local languages. Someone asked whether our outreach will be just remaining in Accra. No, we have Ghana speakers, Ewe, Dabali, Chi, whatever, and all of them are represented here. If you want any interview on any of those languages, just get in touch and we will link you up to the appropriate person to speak to. Okay, all right. I've been asked to inform all coalition members when we disperse from here, when we close from here, kindly make yourself available. We'll be taking a group picture. Yes, this is a very important day. We don't have to miss that. Then we also want to recognize the presence of CDS Africa. CDS Africa. Yeah. Please, are there any announcements? Okay, all right. So, in the absence of any further announcement or statement, we want to thank you very much for making time to be with us today and encourage you to join us in this common cause to make Ghana the country we all deserve it to be for ourselves and our children's children. Thank you all for coming, and may God be with you. Thank you.